A month ago, BioWare released Mass Effect 3, the final chapter in their beloved Mass Effect franchise. And almost a month ago, the backlash started. Longtime fans were shocked at how awful the ending is. And it's bad, no doubt about it. The hue and outcry of the fans over the ending has swept through gaming forums, resulting in petitions, a Child's Play charity drive, and countless internet memes about some Turian named Marauder Shields. The fans wanted one thing, for the ending to be fixed. And BioWare promised to listen to the fans. So a lot of people started explaining how they thought things should go. Perhaps the most persuasive and well-thought-out suggestions were made by a YouTube user named Mr. B. Tongue, which I can only hope and pray is not a reference to the MST3K short Mr. B. Natural. That androgynous dude's been the subject of too many of my nightmares already. But anyway, recently BioWare announced that they will release free DLC this summer to provide additional clarity and closure. This does not bode well for those of us who thought the ending was disappointing. Rather than get rid of Starchild and come up with an actual ending with true emotional heft, utilizing the characters we've come to know and love over the previous 2.9 games, we'll just get more of the same so the writer's artistic vision won't be violated. And yet, there still might be a way for BioWare to fix this. I don't think they can turn this ending into a good ending. The only way that they could do that is by scrapping the whole thing and starting over again. But I think there's a way it can be salvaged to become a decent ending. And to understand how, we have to look at two of the ways the original ending fails, namely, in terms of choices and theme. Let's start with choices. One of the things that fans have loved about the Mass Effect franchise is that our choices actually matter. We get to shape how the game unfolds, making each playthrough uniquely ours. This was done through the dialogue wheel and by giving Shepard weighty, moralistic choices that could radically alter the way the Mass Effect universe is. That's part of the reason why Mass Effect 3's ending rankled so many people. Instead of being based on player choice, we were instead given three seeming choices that all led to more or less the same ending. The cutscenes were almost completely identical, the only difference being the color of the explosion and who got out of the crash Normandy at the end. Worse, the ending negated many of the choices we players made throughout the game. For example, in my first playthrough, I tried to be the diplomat, brokering peace between the Geth and the Quarians. I was thrilled when these two enemies finally made peace. Then I was even more excited that the Geth and the Quarians came to fight for Earth. Until the mass relays blew up, that is. So, worst case scenario, the resulting release of energy wiped out the solar system, the same way an exploding mass relay did in the Arrival DLC, or we stranded a bunch of people in the solar system, most of whom can't eat the food that Earth produces. Fantastic. I could go on, but you get the idea. This is one of the most prevalent complaints about the current ending. It shows that when you come right down to it, our choices don't matter. Except the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, truth be told, our choices have never mattered. Mass Effect isn't really about player choices. Instead, it's about giving the players the illusion of control. The real problem with the Mass Effect 3 ending is that players are mad because the ending stripped away the illusion of choice. To show you what I mean, let's take a look at two of the biggest choices a player makes in the Mass Effect franchise: the fate of the Council and the fate of the Collector Base. At the end of Mass Effect, Sovereign and his Geth cronies attack the Citadel. Folks freak out and they try to evacuate the Council on the Destiny Ascension. In the meantime, Shepard and his team confront Saren, and Shepard convinces Saren to, remove himself from the equation. Afterwards, Shepard finds out that the Alliance fleet is ready to come in and attack Sovereign, but then the player is given a choice. The Destiny Ascension has taken massive damage and is in danger of being destroyed. The Alliance fleet can jump in early and try to save the Council, or they can let the Council die. What are you going to do? This seems like a pretty major decision. Do you sacrifice human lives to save a group of jerks who have been second-guessing your choices the whole game? Or do you let them die so the Alliance can hit Sovereign with everything they've got? It seems like a major decision, but it's not. It really doesn't matter which option you choose. Save the Council, let them die, the battle with Sovereign unfolds the same way. The only thing that changes is whether the Destiny Ascension blows up or not. And moving into Mass Effect 2, your decision really doesn't affect the way that story unfolds all that much. Sure, it changes some lines of dialogue and whether or not you can actually meet with the Council, but that's about it. It's not as though, say, Morden refuses to work with you because you let the Council die. It doesn't matter if they lived or died, the story remains the same. The same thing is true when it comes to the suicide mission at the end of Mass Effect 2. After defeating the Reaper larva, Shepard is contacted by the Elusive Man and is given another seemingly important choice. Rather than blow up the Collector base, which has been the plan all along, Shepard could do some technobabble something or other and just kill all the Collectors, leaving the base intact for Cerberus scientists to salvage and study. What a choice! You could either strike a major blow against the Reapers, the greatest enemy the galaxy has ever seen, or you could be giving humanity their greatest weapon to use against the Reapers. Unless, of course, you're handing a big gun to an untrustworthy megalomaniac. What will you do? Again, it seems like a major decision, but it's not. Once again, your decision doesn't actually change much about the way the rest of the game unfolds. Shepard and team need to race through the Collector base, Joker has to play action hero to cover their escape, and then the Normandy races to safety. The only thing that really changes is the color of the resulting explosion. Wait, where have I heard that before? Actually, in Mass Effect 2, they really lay on the illusion that your choices matter by giving you so many when it comes to the suicide mission. Who do you send into the shaft? Who leads the distraction team? What biotic will provide the shield from the Seeker swarms? But here's the dirty little secret. None of those choices matter. Sure, someone might die halfway through the mission if you choose poorly, but it's not like the entire mission fails because you lose someone. The game still goes on to the very end, regardless of what you decide. So yeah, remember how there were all those angry fans when they released Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 because we realized that our choices didn't matter? No, of course not. That didn't happen. And the reason why is because, unlike with Mass Effect 3, in Mass Effect 1 and 2, BioWare remembered they had to complete the illusion. So how did they do it in the first two games? Through one of the oldest tricks a magician has: misdirection. When you're watching a magic show, obviously it's all done through sleight of hand and smoke and mirrors, but to disguise the fact that it's a trick, a magician will use misdirection. He or she will try to distract the audience by waving their hands or creating some sort of a ruckus that distracts the audience from how the trick is really performed. Simply put, if a magician is making a lot of gestures with his right hand, his left hand is probably doing the trick. Let me show you what I mean.
iPod. This one. Thank you, darling.
Now, obviously, there's no real magic here. This guy did not animate a Charlie Chaplin mannequin and bring it to life. Instead, he used misdirection to accomplish a pretty decent illusion. The same thing happened in the first two games. BioWare was able to distract the players from the fact that their choices didn't really matter through simple misdirection. But in this case, they did it by providing epilogues. In Mass Effect, after Sovereign literally gives Shepard the finger and the debris is cleaned up, players are given an epilogue that shows the consequences of their choice. If the players saved the Council, we see the incredibly grateful Council members thank Shepard and offer humanity a seat at the table. If the players let the Council die, we see Udina start talking about how humanity can now seize control of the galaxy. Oh, that'll probably be okay, right? And really, the same thing is true with Mass Effect 2. If you destroyed the Collector base, the Elusive Man yells at you and Shepard can finally tell him to take a hike. If you save the base, the Elusive Man is happy. I'm sure that will turn out all right too, right? Anyway, the epilogue continues by showing Shepard mourning over the coffins of any teammates you lost, thus driving home the consequences of your choice. The problem with Mass Effect 3 is that the writers gave us a choice, but then they didn't show us any of the consequences of that choice. What happened to the galaxy if you destroyed the Reapers, or took control of them, or made them partially organic? We have no idea. Instead, for an epilogue, we get to see some dude standing in a field. Awesome. That really clears everything up. BioWare can and should do a better job of showing us the consequences of our choices. And I think they should reach back and show us even more consequences from the choices we made in the first two games, too. I have some specific ideas for how they can do that, but before I discuss those, I want to talk about the other problem I see with the current Mass Effect 3 ending, and that has to do with theme. Every story ever told has had a theme. A theme is a central premise or idea that a storyteller is trying to communicate with his or her audience. A theme can be a moralistic idea, what we can learn from the story about how we should behave, or it can just be an observation about life, the universe, and everything. For example, I'm an author. My debut novel, Fail State, which is available from Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and direct from the publisher, has a theme of we're stronger together than we are apart. Or looking at some other more well-known stories, the theme of Harry Potter could be described as love conquers all. The Hunger Games theme could be one person driven to the point of desperation can bring about radical change in an oppressive society. And Twilight's theme is, isn't it great to have a boyfriend even if he is borderline abusive? So if every story has a theme, what is Mass Effect's theme? What central idea is this epic story trying to communicate? Well, I think the theme can be best expressed by one of my favorite characters from the series, Legion.
Yes, Geth believe all intelligent life should self-determinate. The heretics no longer share this belief.
There we go. Everyone should be able to decide their future. Everyone's choices should matter. We actually see this idea pop up in a lot of the subplots in this series. For example, Rex is angry about the way the Krogan have been treated by the other civilizations in the galaxy. First, they're uplifted by the Solarians, not by their choice, to fight the Rachni. Then they're given the Genophage to smack them down again. The Krogan have had their future stolen from them, something that Shepard reminds him of on Vermeer. At least Shepard does that if you want Rex to live, and really, why wouldn't you?
Rex, these Krogan are not your people. They're slaves of Saren, tools. Is that what you want for them?
No.
And we see this theme played out elsewhere too. Jack hates Cerberus because they tried to steal her future and take away her choices. Miranda wants to save herself and her sister Oriana from her father, since her father wants to control them both. Mordin hates what the Reapers have done to the Collectors because they've stolen their future. And, come to think of it, Morden is racked with guilt for stealing the Krogan's future, too. You have to decide if the Rachni can have a future in the galaxy or not. We even see a dark reflection of this theme in Samara's loyalty quest. Only in this case, it's Morinth who's fighting for her choice to kill people with her creepy Ardat Yakshi super seduction powers. Overarching all of these other stories is the main plot, the Reapers. They're trying to control everyone in the galaxy, only to destroy them every 50,000 years. That's why they built the mass relays. That's why they built the Citadel. They wanted to make sure that everyone evolved the way the Reapers wanted. In other words, the Reapers gave the people of the galaxy the illusion of control, and now Shepard is mad because he's discovered that their choices don't matter. Whoa. Ironic. Now, doubtless, some of you are going to point out that some of the plot lines don't fit that theme. That's actually okay. Not all of them do, and they don't have to. Consider the old sitcom MASH. Launched at the end of the Vietnam War, MASH had a pretty simple overall theme. War sucks. But not every episode expressed that theme. Sometimes they delved into such hilarious subjects as alcoholism or marital infidelity. Or sometimes they just told silly stories to amuse their audience. But the main theme still remained the same. I think the same thing is true for the Mass Effect franchise. The overall theme is that choices should matter. And if that's the case, then the ending of Mass Effect 3 violates that horribly. What we have is a literal deus ex machina, a god out of the machine, who imposes 3 arbitrary choices on Shepard. In the past, when Shepard was faced with a hard choice, he or she could at least argue and try to find other options, but not this time. Shepard just meekly stands there and listens to what Starchild, or whatever you call that kid, has to say before picking one of the choices he or she has been handed. It's like if MASH ever did an episode about how awesome war is, or if Stephanie Meyer cranked out a Twilight novel about how slamming it is not to have a boyfriend that sparkles or isn't a wolf. Theme matters. If BioWare really wants to make the ending work, they should remember the theme and not turn it on its head. So, since I've spent all this time yammering on about choices and themes, I obviously have some ideas about how BioWare can fix the ending, right? Well, I do, and this is how I think they can do it. First of all, give us back the illusion of choice. Do that by providing a better epilogue than the Stargazer and the Kid. And really, BioWare has already put in a perfect vehicle for doing that. In the middle of Mass Effect 3, Liara visits Shepard in his quarters to reveal that she's working on a beacon. Said beacon will have updated plans for the Crucible and contain all the information they've learned about the Reapers and what they've done to try to stop them. That way, Liara says, if they fail to stop the Reapers, the people of the next cycle will be able to try again. And she even includes a section on Commander Shepard. Well, I think the writers can use that beacon as a basis for a more satisfying epilogue. Rather than use the beacon as a way to help future cycles battle the Reapers, Liara could use it as a way to teach future generations about how the greatest threat to the galaxy was defeated by Commander Shepard. The developers could have Liara narrate the consequences of the player's actions, a sort of where are they now type of deal similar to what BioWare did for Dragon Age Origins. Tell us what happened to the Krogan in light of what the player did about the Genophage. What was the eventual fate of the Geth and the Quarians? How was the galaxy reshaped by the destruction of the Reapers or by Shepard taking control of them or merging all synthetic and organic life? Show us the overarching consequences of what we've been doing in all 3 games, and that will help restore the illusion of control, the illusion that our choices really matter. So that's choices. We still have to deal with theme. At the heart of this problem is Starchild, but I think there's a way to fix this too. It would require some retconning And I don't know if that will violate the artistic vision of the writers or not, but here goes. Right now, Starchild is the entity responsible for the Reapers. He created them to somehow save organic life from being destroyed by synthetics. Okay, sure. He lives in the Citadel, and he offers all three choices to Shepard without much explanation of what they'll do. What I would propose is this. Have Starchild be a VI in the Crucible, not the Citadel. Have him be a messenger from the very first cycle when the Reapers wiped out organic life. Have him actually be a representative of the race who built the Reapers, only to have their creations turn on them and wipe out all civilization as they knew it. In a last-ditch effort to regain control of their creations, this race designed the Crucible. Unfortunately, they were never able to use it, and the plans got passed down from cycle to cycle, being refined each time. But now, the Crucible is complete, and here's Shepard. So Starchild urges him to use the Crucible to take control of the Reapers. I mean, that's what the Crucible was built to do. But then, Shepard realizes that if she blows out this power conduit over here, she could destroy the Reapers. Or if he jumps in this beam of light, he could merge all synthetic and organic life together. No, I don't like that synthesis nonsense either, but I think we're stuck with it. Anyway, have Starchild and Shepard argue about it. If the player defies Starchild, have the brat get angry. But let the choices be ones that Shepard makes on his or her own. That way the overall theme will remain largely intact, unless, of course, the player chooses the synthesis option and thus robs pretty much everybody else in the galaxy of their choice. Are these perfect solutions? Not at all, and I freely acknowledge that. If it were up to me, I'd scrap the current ending entirely and rebuild it from the ground up. I would make the people you fought with in the previous two games much more central to the ending, giving them specific roles and a master plan to bring the fight to the real enemy, the Reapers. I would make the final battle not one of philosophy with Anderson and the Elusive Man, but a battle with Harbinger itself, somehow. But it's not up to me. It's up to BioWare. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm cautiously hopeful that they'll find a way to make a bad ending decent. And you never know. This is the company, after all, that produced the first two games, which are awesome. And the ending aside, Mass Effect 3 was pretty great too. We could all be pleasantly surprised. There's a lot riding on what BioWare does this summer. Hopefully they will make things right. The choice is really up to them.